Remember the show American Idol? I don't even know if that show is still on. But do you know why there were so many garbage performers on there that you were thinking, like, my God, like, how did anyone let this person even try out for the show? Like, does he not have people around him that love him? This is the importance of having healthy opposition. Hey, how you doing? J-Man here, and welcome to yet another edition of the Launchpad Podcast. This is a solo cast called Losing Facebook Friends. We've all been there. This is an opinion piece. Hashtag pandemic problems. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to lay a couple of things out there for context. First, I'm unvaccinated. I hope that's not a problem. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying is that regardless, whatever your medical intervention, I do not care, and I'm very happy to have you here. Regardless what side of the fence you're on, I need you here. That's the whole point, is that I don't care about views. I care about people. And if you care about people, like Facebook friends, real life friends, then their views shouldn't be ruining those friendships. Just my opinion. Okay, so there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to speak on right here. Why we need tolerance, why we need understanding, why we need empathy, how to make these friendships better, and why opposition is so stinking important. But that's the whole thing when it comes to this conversation right now with the pandemic, is you have all these different sides. And when it comes to if you're huge on the vaccination camp, all you're doing is talking with people that are in that space. If you're someone that doesn't want to partake in medical intervention at this point, well, then you're just kind of talking to those people. And then what happens is that eventually anything that you say, people just start giving you high fives, and there's no one there to say, like, listen, that's a little bit far out. I don't necessarily buy in on that. And then maybe that causes the person to think a little bit more critically. I'm going to give you an example of a friend that sent me this video called It's in the Water. I don't know if that means anything to you. For me, it's like, nope, I don't buy into that. And I had a good friend of mine actually send it to me, which is why I watched it. And then I told him, like, listen, I don't say no to a whole lot of things, but this is a real stretch. And maybe because I said that, that gave him an ability to kind of just pull back a little bit, think a little bit more rationally, maybe not, maybe think a little bit more critically, maybe not. But it was good for him to have someone there to play something off of. And that's the problem right now, is that by losing Facebook friends, especially ones that have other views than you do, you're losing an opportunity for you to throw stuff out there and just having it bounce back off of someone. The problem, isn't whether or not someone wants to be vaccinated. The problem is the lack of conversation that we're having about it that is constructive, the lack of conversation that we're having about it that shows empathy, and the ability to just not take things personally. Now, I get it. There's some people that are much more on it than others. And there's an opportunity for you to reach out and ask why. Every time you feel like unfriending someone, like maybe you can ask them why they feel the way that they do. Ask them a solid question. And generally ask that question so you can learn more about where that person stands, so you can build more empathy. Not only that, but also have better, more constructive conversations with people that might also feel the way that your friend does. What's the point of just eliminating people? And I have to wonder with myself, I'm doing this podcast the best that I can, and I try to come from a place of abundance. And I really dislike mandates, and that's pretty much all I talk about, is just not agreeing with mandates. And then someone just gets tired of me talking about how I don't like being treated differently. It's hard not to take that personally. It's hard not to take a look at that person that unfriends me on Facebook or doesn't want to hang out with me anymore based on the fact that I just want equality. Right? Like, wow. Opposed to having a conversation with me about it. I don't think there's anyone that has removed me from their social circle or their network that has asked me why I feel the way that I do. And most people think that they can't have a conversation with me. Possibly there's people out there that don't think they can have a conversation with you because they think it's going to be explosive, when the reality is, like, I don't disagree with a whole lot of anyone's opinions. I mean, they're your opinions and they're your own. Like, I mean, that's your reality. But at the same time, like, I mean, all I need is just that in return. And we can have this beautiful, fruitful relationship where we could talk about absolutely anything and disagree. There's a good friend of mine, Ted, who I just sat down with and had a conversation with. And he disagrees with almost everything I say. Actually, that's not fair, but he seems to disagree with a lot of the fundamentals when it comes to the pandemic and all the powers at play and all that kind of stuff, right? But we can sit there and say, you know what, I won't say no, but I'd say highly unlikely, or that's not what I believe. And that didn't ruin the lovely dinner that we had. Thanks again, Ted. Why are we letting this ruin relationships? So I think what we need to do, number one, is like when we had all the externals that were taken away, it was a great opportunity to focus on our internals, right? Are we making ourselves better? Are we looking to have healthy conversations? Or are we just looking to surround ourselves with a bunch of people that think that we're right? And that's so dangerous. That is so, so dangerous, because what we're doing by eliminating one another from our friends lists and our social circles is that you are not just creating divisiveness, but you are creating more extremes. So what's happening right now is that we just have one camp over here that is really starting to hone in on their views and clamp down. Then we have this other side that have their views and, they're starting to clamp down. And then, we have this, silent minority, majority, I'm not sure yet, that just doesn't want to say anything because they don't want to lose any friends. They don't want to lose any friends. So they just kind of walk the line. And the biggest problem is that politics used to be something that we would talk about behind closed doors. Like maybe you had that Uncle Bill that would come to every family function and just turn it into a shit show once he started talking politics, and everyone just eventually stopped paying attention to him. But now politics is saying anything related to the pandemic. Convoy, whoa, that's politically charged. I want to talk about, vaccination. Whoa, that's politically charged. I want to talk about mandates. Whoa, that's politically charged. And so now I've become a political figure of sorts because I'm talking about politics, and I don't mean to, but I'm not going to sit there and say absolutely nothing while I find myself and other people like me getting treated differently based on a choice, on a medical choice. I'll use the example, and this is probably a bad idea, but I'm going to do it. But when it comes to abortion, I could be in a room with 10 ladies and having a great time. We're all out to dinner having a great time. I'm being my charming usual self. And they're like, oh, Jason, you're so great. And I couldn't be having a better time with these 10 ladies. And then, I find out somehow that some lady there had an abortion. And now I'm going to treat her differently, or I'm not going to talk to her anymore, or I'm going to tell her that she can't be in that restaurant. I mean, for me, I think that's absurd. I mean, the reality is I shouldn't know that she had an abortion at all because that's her medical history. It's none of my business whatsoever. And I'll just leave it there because I don't want to get into a pro-choice debate at all. All I'm saying is that whatever you choose to do isn't going to change the way that I view you. You have your reasons. There are circumstances. None of them are any that I am privy to on one side of the fence or the other, but I will respect your opinion. And this is coming from a gentleman who is an adopted child himself. I have a whole bunch of opinions of my own, and I would love to share those opinions with people that want to have that conversation with me, but I would hope that they would not lead to me not being their friend. And I can't believe that this is happening on the other side of the fence. And people will say, oh, well, you can't relate the two, right? Because with the pandemic, you're talking about other people's lives. Well, well, there we go. Depending where you want to go with that, when life begins, I can't even, so I won't. But people should be able to express their opinions and not express their opinions constructively without having to separate themselves from everyone else. We are one. We are a family. We are human beings. We are a unit. We are together, and I don't know why we keep on losing track of this. I really believe that there's this universal beat, and you're either on it and you're off it. And as a whole right now, like there's just all these different beats, and it's not the one that we should all be paying attention to. I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know how to make things better. And I don't even know what this podcast is right now, other than just me just kind of throwing it out there and hoping that, I throw something on the wall and it sticks, it resonates with you, that maybe it makes you interact differently with another person. And I'm not talking to, any specific group. This is for everyone. This podcast is for everyone. I love hearing sometimes that people had listened to my podcast even though they don't necessarily agree with all of my views. That's great. And then we talk about it. So many people think that I'm a certain way when I'm not. And there might be people right now in your network, based on what they're posting, what they're saying, that you're thinking that they have changed, they're not the same, or possibly they feel a lot more strongly about a specific subject than another. Like, why not just reach out and just ask, like, whoa, like I just saw this, like, what does that mean? Right? And then maybe that will help you also have conversations, moving down the road on other heated topics, just to know that no matter what is out there, no matter what people say that are your friends, that's that we honor their opinions. And if you think that maybe they're a little bit out there, that there's a constructive way in regards to doing so. Anyways, I really don't know what else to say. And at the end of the day, my heart is hurt because I've lost some friends that are very near and dear to me, and I didn't even say anything about them. I didn't do anything to ruin that relationship. I didn't say anything harsh. I didn't miss a birthday. I didn't call their wife a horrible name. All I did is make a decision that I thought was best for me based on the information that I had at the time. And, that's ruined some. I'll use one example. I'll just call this guy D, a really, really good friend of mine. I've known him for over 20 years. And I have not seen him since last year when he helped me move some stuff around when vaccinations were available. It was obvious at the time that it was going to be something that he did. And it's pretty obvious to tell, how I felt about it at the time. So I just really didn't pay attention all that much to the conversation and just enjoy the time that I had with him. Little did I know that was really going to be the last time that I saw him. Asked him if he wanted to go for a walk, tried to respect his space, still didn't want to spend any time with me. And the irony is that his wife is the one that he was trying to protect because she was compromised. She's the one that ended up getting COVID, brought it home to the whole household. Everybody was sick. And I was thinking, wow, well, this is great. Now they have their 2 shots, right? They're vaccinated. Now they also have natural immunity through getting COVID. We're going to be hanging out like bros. No, that's not the case. So if I've had COVID and I have antibodies, he's vaccinated and he has antibodies, plus he has natural immunity, you'd think there would be absolutely no reason why we wouldn't hang out. But I guess we're just not communicating enough. I don't know. I'm doing my part. I thought maybe he'd call me and say, hey, have you had it yet? And because if you did, we could hang out now. But no, we could be able to hang out no matter what, but he'll go to restaurants and, get served by potentially unvaccinated hostesses, cooks, and servers, but won't hang out with me. We'll go to concerts, but won't hang out with me. Maybe it's time that I reach out one more time and see if we can hang out. And I'm not saying this to be spiteful, anything of that nature. This is just how it unfolded, and my heart hurts every time because of it. And quite possibly you have people in your life that are kind of doing the same thing. You're like, whoa, do you get it? What don't you get? Why are we not spending time right now? And as hard as it is sometimes to reach out and be the one to always do the work, like it pays off once you get there. So yeah, you know what? I'll reach out one more time and see just where he's at, as difficult as it is. And I know that there's resentment that's harbored on both sides, and just trying not to resent the other party for the choice that they decided to make, and just love one another where you're at. I think that would be the more constructive of the two. It's hard, it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but we are in a tough place right now, and it seems like the world is becoming a much harder place to live in with, the current inflation. Everything is going up in price, and now that everyone can travel, it's they're canceling flights and airports are batshit crazy. The cost of food. People are ordering cars like 1 year in advance. Like everything is just nuts. That it's all the more important that you have the people that you care about in your life still there. So I think that's going to conclude this podcast. I really appreciate you taking some time to listen in. And I mean, share your thoughts in the comments. Like, I'd love to hear them. I hope I did a decent job. This was really supposed to be something else, and it turned into this. And that's all I got to say. Again, big shout out to my sponsors. And actually, I'll rhyme them off because they are not in the thingamajigs, because this is a full screen. Car City Canada, one of the first people to jump on board. And you can find all their links in the description. GallantMEDIA, SilverFox, mining, crypto, and food forest abundance. Until next time, you take care, be well. Love simply because you can.